Fred again went on the Tape Notes podcast and told producers to delete their plugins. Now, I work for a plugin company and I was the editor of a magazine about plugins, so you'd think I'd disagree. But today I want to look at why the big picture is more nuanced than just delete everything, because I don't think plugins are the real problem. Let me explain. On the podcast, Fred said producers should pick like 5 to 8 plugins, delete everything else, and focus on writing songs. His exact point was, stop worrying whether it's this compressor or that compressor, the thing that matters is the music. Now, this is pretty standard advice that everyone repeats on the internet, and Fred is right. But the interesting bit is why producers are obsessing over plugins in the first place. Because if you don't understand that, deleting your plugins won't fix anything. You'll find something else to obsess over: sample packs, mixing tutorials, gear forums, whatever. So what's actually going on? Well, there's this idea that the less you know, the more you think you know. And the more you know, the more you realise you don't know. And this graph explains so much of what I've seen in the music production world over the last 2 decades. Because when you first start making music, you live here. You know nothing. Your confidence and experience are both low, so you just dive in. You slap down loads of ideas. Half of them don't make any sense. But the creative energy is amazing because you've got no preconceptions. But to improve, you decide to learn more. You watch hundreds of tutorials. You read about compression. You can talk about linear phase, multiband sidechaining, and parallel mid-side processing, and all that technical stuff. You really sound like you know what you're doing. Your confidence is high thanks to this knowledge. But how much you actually know about how to physically make good music from start to finish hasn't caught up with your textbook knowledge, so you get stuck around this zone. I think we can all relate to this post. The more I learn, the less creative I get. We feel like our earlier ideas when we started making music were more creative, and that gap is really frustrating because the bar is so high. Getting your music up to that standard really does take years. This area on the graph is tough, there's no shortcut. So what do you do with that frustration? You go deeper into the stuff that feels productive, comparing compressors, reading plugin reviews, spending 3 hours on KVR space debating whether this EQ is better than that EQ. It feels like progress, but it's not. And this is where the plugin obsession comes from. It's not really about the plugins, it's a hiding place, somewhere that feels like you're improving without having to do the slow, scary stuff of actually writing and finishing tracks. Now, I'm not judging anyone here because I lived this. I was at the absolute peak of that curve. I was the editor of the world's biggest music software magazine. My plugin folder was growing faster than my unfinished projects folder. Actually, it wasn't. That was the whole point. My technical knowledge was through the roof. At that time, my music was okay. Some of it did pretty well, but it never felt as consistent or as good as it could be because I was so deep in the nerdy stuff. And I see it everywhere now. There's this weird disconnect between knowledge and actually being able to finish half-decent tracks. So how did I come out the other side? Honestly, I just put in the reps for a really, really long time. And even after 20 years of producing and ticking off some big milestones, I still know that there's so much more to learn than I'll ever live to learn. And that's okay. But back to Fred, he's obviously way off the right side of this graph. He's been through these struggles and come out the other side. So when he says delete your plugins and focus on the song, what I'm hearing is stop hiding in the technical stuff and focus on writing music, which is scarier and there's no standard tutorial for it. But finding a way to put in the reps really is the only thing that moves the needle. So here's what I take from all of this. First, think about this graph. If you're spending more time talking or learning about music than making music, that could be a sign you're in that middle zone where technical knowledge feels like progress, but it isn't. It's not translating into better tunes yet. And this isn't bad, I love nerding out about music tech, but you have to keep putting in the reps where it matters and have fun, enjoy the process to come out the other side. Second, and this is where I want to be honest, I work for a company called Cable Guys. We make plugins. Damn good plugins, if you ask me, and I love working there, so I'm not anti-plugin at all. Plugins are tools, I use them every day. But something Fred says on the podcast is a great tip. Separate your utility plugins from your creative plugins. Compression, EQ, limiting, whatever. That should be a tiny toolkit. Just pick ones you like and use them on autopilot to free up your brain. But like Fred also said, creative tools are something far more special. The weird ones that surprise you, these spit out magic. You don't have to spend thousands, there are tons of cheap and free ones. I keep loads of these installed, even if I only use them once in a blue moon, because so many times I'll pull a random plugin out of nowhere and it does something unique that sparks a song. That inspiration is priceless. And third, this is the big one, focus on the hard thing, focus on the song, the arrangement, because in my opinion 80% of a great track is sound selection and composition, the music. Then I think 10% is volume, just getting the levels right, volume, fades, automation, keeping it simple. And then only 10% is basic EQ and maybe a tickle of dynamics. I know that sounds simple and not flashy at all, it's not exciting for a video, but that is the point. The simplest pizza in the world is an authentic margherita, dough, tomatoes, cheese, high quality ingredients cooked perfectly. It's tastier and classier than any mad topping combination you can think of. This is why a piece of me dies inside every time someone recommends copying other arrangements, because the fun lives in allowing your sounds to guide your song without templates. So to find out exactly how to do that every time, go and watch my video right here. I really fancy pizza now, for some reason.